All right, we'll call the meeting to order. This meeting and all meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of the meeting. Roll call.
Kemp.
Here.
Brunner. Here. Gunderson.
Here.
Okay, look for a motion then to approve the minutes from July 7th.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and second to approve the minutes. Any comments or additions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. Department update.
Well, the sheet that's on there sideways, I apologize for that. Our computer fella who installed the new version of software on my computer alone changed Excel, and none of us could figure out how to make it vertical and stay on one page. But that should resolve itself here in the next couple of days. But as you see there, we wrote 65 citations, 10 for operating after suspension, which is not uncommon in the summertime. People are out and about. And referrals to the district attorney, there were 40. Probably the ones the most significant are the burglary, the felony, bail jumping, and misdemeanor bail jumping, and one stalking. We had a group of burglars work in the city for, well, one night. We got them and arrested 2 people after one we arrested. The next day we did a search warrant, arrested the second one. Both went to jail. Both got out on bond. One reoffended and was arrested again the day after he got out, and he's still locked up. But in that investigation, there was a number of people in working. When we got the search warrant, we went to the house and we found property that was stolen in burglaries last summer. So there'll be more burglaries and possession of stolen properties coming for next month's report. Mileage on the squad you'll see listed down there. You can look back in next month you'll see the previous months. Summertime we travel more. Nothing uncommon. Budget's next. About where it should be. Most of the things are in the 50% range. August is going to be a busy month because everybody's taking vacation, which is all good. We got it covered. And then squad maintenance, we had the brakes on the Ford Explorer done. That was the only maintenance for the month. Next month you'll see the oil changes on all 3 of them. And then in the next couple of months the snow tires will be coming. So that's all I have. It's been busy, but nothing earth-shattering that you're not probably hearing on the news before you get to hear. We did talk last time about budgets. Patrick and I are going to meet ahead of the schedule to have a discussion on what's going to be needed next year. We know we're going to be looking at a squad car. We're looking at placing $1,000 in for vest rotation. So every year that's in the budget, and as they expire, it's instead of buying 5 at once, it'll just be 1 a year. And then we're going to have some discussion on defibrillators because ours are outdated, don't work, and would cost too much to repair. And then today we had the discussion that we probably should incorporate at least 1, if not 2, in the city hall, in the building.
Absolutely.
Because if you're hosting events and there's people there and somebody goes down, they're everywhere. You go to the public schools, there's an elementary, middle, high school. So
Right.
those are the kind of things we're having discussions about, which we'll do ahead of the budget meetings. And we looked at the breakout numbers. Like there's just an example, training is a $5,000 event, and then Katrina's coding, meals in hotels. We're cleaning that up so we know exactly what's what. So training is training, meals are meals, hotels are hotels. It's not one big number. We're breaking it out, and then there's some memberships and associations and some other areas that we're going to clean up because they're just not coded right.
Oh, very good.
But I think the software change that is going to happen, is that going to change any of this or just change numbers?
No, it won't change anything. And actually, when he's talking about cleaning up, we're talking about the budget and where the budgeted figures are.
Right.
Because for the last 2 years, we've been, like on training, you've had a $5,000 training item.
Right.
But when you look back at the actuals, like in his sheet here, it'll show meals, lodging, all the things that are associated with training. And so, really, it's cleaning up the budget you've had historically and trying to get it, all the expenses coded to where they should be, and then consolidating the budget numbers. Now, with the financial software upgrade, the account coding might change. And if it changes, that's as good a time as any to
Yeah.
just consolidate everything and start, I don't want to say from scratch, but.
Yeah,
you know.
and then we'll know what things actually cost.
And that's good to know.
Right.
Because, we have, even in just looking at it, you have somebody goes to a week's training in Appleton. There's a lunch, 4 or 5 lunches there. They go to a week's training in Madison. You have 4 or 5 nights at a hotel and lunch and a dinner. I'd like to, we all want to know what those costs actually are.
Because I'll tell you, I'm going for a week's training in Milwaukee, and my hotel for those 4 nights is $800 some.
Right.
Because it's in downtown Milwaukee. So those things are good to know, because
So it should be, I use the word cleaned up. I don't know if that's the appropriate word.
Mainly the budget, because the expenses, we've been tracking them, and Jerry codes all the invoices before they get paid, and we've been coding them to where they need to go. It's just a matter of just when it comes budget time, instead of 5,000 in one line, we'll try to get it broken out.
Where it should be.
Yep.
those
Instead of-
details are good.
Right, instead of us looking at it and saying, $5,000 for whatever it is,
Right.
Right.
it's gonna be broke down, we'll know what that is gonna consist
Yep.
of.
That's excellent.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay?
To build on the budget a little bit, I did get a heads up, and Mike knows a little bit, or Mike would know. But the fire department had mentioned that they're looking into, is it a purchase next year?
Well, it's not really, no, it's not the purchase next year, it depends on if the grant monies goes through.
Okay. Well, what we'll have to look at is when the fire department asks for funding or contributions from the communities, one of the items I'm looking at is the capital budget, to actually turn it back into a budget instead of just a pot of money that money goes into, and then we have a capital plan for 10 years. But the money itself, for a squad car, if you're planning on next year or the year after to spend $50,000 on a squad car, well, you should have that budgeted to be the money's
Correct.
going to the squad car. Or, every year we set aside X amount of money for a fire truck or a new garage or whatever it's going to be. But we'll stay in touch with the fire department a little bit on that, on making sure that when it comes time to get those purchases, that we've got the money set aside for it, and that's not a shock at all. So, and then this would be the committee that, fire, rescue, police, all the budget items come through. I haven't heard anything on Gold Cross at all. With the budget, it's assumed that that's gonna stay the same at $12.50 per person. But there is a window in the Hortonville Dale area that if they start charging them, that they would drop us from $12.50 down closer to like $10 per person, which means that we'd end up, spending closer to $19,000 a year instead of 24,000. So, and the one thing that's hanging out there yet too is, as an update, is Gold Cross had proposed individual contracts with each one of the municipalities rather than one lump contract with us and the 3 towns that are around us. And we had told them to come to a meeting, and we told them to explain why, without any notice, they would just contract or try to contract individually. And it's just kind of sat. And now all the other towns, now the town chairman have all rolled over, and now they're all asking, so where are we at with Gold Cross? Now, we have a contract, but Gold Cross is looking at updating it. In theory, what they want to do is try to contract with each municipality one-on-one, and I don't know that it's a big difference at all, but before we were in sort of a consortium. And our contract that we have today has a consortium in it too, so. We haven't had anything. Our rate went down, cut it in half like Gold Cross had promised, and they haven't updated the contract, so.
Is that contract just for, I mean, is it listed as just the city of Weyauwega, or?
Well, they propose, so right now it's got the towns,
Or is it?
Royalton, Weyauwega, Muckwa, and then the city of Weyauwega on our contract, but when it came last November, December, when they proposed paramedic service in town, instead of sending one contract that had all 4 names, they sent 4 contracts that only had each entity's name on it. And my understanding was that the towns sort of had a pause to say, well, why now are we being proposed to contract individually with Gold Cross rather than the consortium we had? Because the consortium we had basically said that the 3 towns in the city all had to stay together unless we all voted that one would get out or one would add in. So, and Gold Cross had some turnover too, where they had the executive director, I think, retired, and then now Mark Frederickson's the top guy. They rolled in somebody new to take over operations, and we'll try to get him here before the budget. Maybe
That would
come to
be
your
nice.
committee, September, October.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're gonna mention something about the contract, or I hope they would mention something about the contract, but.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So we need no action from Jerry's report. Any other matters authorized by law?
I have nothing.
Bruce? Brandon, you have anything to?
Nope.
No? Pat? No. Okay. Then I will guess that we ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
6:50.